Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we are going through the Venu Geet. Srila Prabhupada had translated the chapter like the Gopi glorified the song of Krishna's flute. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 21. So in this chapter, this chapter describes how Lord Shri Krishna entered the enchanting forest of Vrindavan upon the arrival of autumn, and the praises the young cowherd girls sang when they heard the vibration of his flute. As Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram and other cowherd friends entered the forest to graze the cows, Krishna began playing his flute. The gopis heard the enchanting flute song and understood that Krishna was entering the forest. Then they narrated to each other the Lord's various activities. So we go first. Shri Shuka Uvacha Itham Sharat Swacha Jalam Padmakara Sugandhina Nya Vishadvayuna Vatam Sago Gopalako Chuta.
Sukdev Goswami said, thus the Vrindavan forest was filled with transparent autumnal waters and cooled by breezes perfumed with the fragrance of lotus flowers growing in the clear lakes. The infallible Lord, accompanied by his cows and cowherd boyfriends, entered the Vrindavan forest.
Kushumita vanaraji sushmi bringa Dvijakula gushta sarasarim mahidram Madhupati ravagaya charayanga Saha pashupala bala chukuja Venu.
Can I read?
Yeah, go on, Nanita.
The lakes, rivers, and hills of Vrindavan resounded with the sound of maddened bees and flocks of birds moving about the flowering trees. In the company of the cowherd boys and Balram, Madhupati Sri Krishna entered that forest, and while herding the cows, he began to vibrate his flute.
Tad prajastriya shrutya Venugeetam smarodayam Kashik paroksham Krishnasya Swasakhibhyo anpavarnayan.
When the young ladies in the cowherd village of Raj heard the songs of Krishna's flute, which arouses the influence of Cupid, some of them privately began describing Krishna's qualities to their intimate friends.
Tadvirnayitum arabdha Smarantya Krishna chestitam Nashakan smara vegena Vikshipta manasho nripa.
The cowherd girls began to speak about Krishna, but when they remembered his activities, O king, the power of Cupid disturbed their minds, and thus they could not speak. I will read next few, and then somebody else can read. Okay, Prabhuji?
Yeah. Good, good.
Barhavidam natavara Papukarnayo karnikaram Vibhradvasaha kanakaka Isham Vaijayantim Chamalam Randran Venoradhara Sudaya Purayan Gopavrinde Vrindarayam Swapadaramanam Pravishadgita Kirti.
Wearing a peacock feather ornament upon his head, blue karnikara flowers on his ears, a yellow garment as brilliant as gold, and the Vajayanti garland, Lord Krishna exhibited his transcendental form as the greatest of dancers as he entered the forest of Vrindavan, beautifying it with the marks of his footprints. He filled the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips, and the carved boys sang his glories. Okay, somebody can, after 6, somebody else can read.
इति वेणुरवं राजन् सर्वभूतमनोहरं श्रुत्वा व्रजस्त्रियः सर्वा वर्णयन्त्योभिरेभिरे.
O king, when the young ladies in Vrija heard the sound of Krishna's flute, which captivates the minds of all living beings, they all embraced one another and began describing it.
श्रीतोऽप्यौचु अक्षन्वतं फलमिदं न परं विधाम सख्य पशूननुविवेशयतो वयस्य वक्त्रं व्रजेश सुतयो अनवेनुजुष्टम् येर्वानिपीतमनुरक्तकटाक्षमोक्षम्.
The coward girl said, O friends, those eyes that see the beautiful faces of the sons of Maharaja Nanda are certainly fortunate. As these two sons enter the forest, surrounded by their friends, driving the cows before them, they hold their flutes to their mouths and glance lovingly upon the residents of Vrindavana. For those who have eyes, we think there is no greater object of vision.
चूतप्रवालबरहस्तबकोत्पलाब्ज मालूनुपृक्तपरिधानविचित्रवेषौ मध्ये विरेजतुरलं पशुपालगोष्ठ्यां रङ्गे यथा नतवरौ क्वच गायमानौ.
Dressed in a charming variety of garments, upon which their garlands rest, and decorating themselves with peacock feathers, lotuses, lilies, newly grown mango sprouts, and clusters of flower buds, Krishna and Balaram shine forth magnificently among the assembly of coward boys. They look just like the best of dancers appearing on dramatic stage, and sometimes they sing.
गोप्या किमाचरदयं कुशलं स्म वेणु दामोदराधरसुधामपि गोपिकानां भुक्ते स्वयं यदवशिष्टरसं हृदैन्यो हृष्यत्वचोश्रुमुमुचुस्तरवो यथार्य.
My dear gopis, what auspicious activities must the flute have performed to enjoy the nectar of Krishna's lips independently and leave only a taste for us gopis, for whom that nectar is actually meant. The forefathers of the flute, the bamboo trees, shed tears of pleasure. His mother, the river on whose bank the bamboo was born, feels jubilation, and therefore her blooming lotus flowers are standing like hair on her body. Hare Krishna.
वृन्दावनं सखि भुवो वितनोति कीर्तिम् यद्देवकी सुतपदाम्बुजलब्धलक्ष्मी गोविन्द वेणुमनोमतमायोरनृत्यम् प्रेक्ष्याद्रिसान्वरतान्यसमस्तसत्त्वम्.
Oh friend, Vrindavana is spreading the glory of the earth. Having obtained the treasure of the lotus feet of Krishna, the son of Devaki, the peacocks dance madly when they hear Govinda's flute, and when other creatures see them from the hilltops, they all become stunned.
धन्यास्ममूढगतयोऽपि हरिण्ययेता यानन्दनन्दनमुपातविचित्रवेषम् आकर्ण्य वेणुरनितं सह कृष्णसारा पूजां ददु विरचितां प्रणयावलोकै.
Blessed are these foolish deer because they have approached Maharaj Nanda's son, who is gorgeously dressed and is playing on his flute. Indeed, both the doe and the bucks worship the Lord with looks of love and affection.
कृष्णं निरीक्ष्य वनितोत्सवरूपशीलं श्रुत्वा च तत्क्वनितवेणुविविक्तगीतं देव्यो विमानगतया स्मरनोन्नसारा भ्रस्यात् प्रसूनकबरा मुमुहुरविनीव्य.
Krishna's beauty and character create a festival for all women. Indeed, when the demigods' wives flying in airplanes with their husbands catch sight of him and hear his resonant flute song, their hearts are shaken by Cupid, and they become so beloved that the flowers fall out of their hair and their belts loosen.
गावश्च कृष्णमुखनिर्गतवेणुगीता पीयूषम् उत्तभितकर्णपूतैति बन्ध्यः सावाहस्नोतस्तनपया कवलास्मकस्तु गोविन्दमात्मनिदृशाश्रु कलास्पृशन्त्या.
Using their upraised ears as vessels, the cows are drinking the nectar of the flute song flowing out of Krishna's mouth. The calves, their mouths full of milk from their mother's moist nipples, stand still as they take Govinda within themselves through their tear-filled eyes and embrace him within their hearts.
प्रायो बताम्बविहगामुनयो वनेऽस्मिन् कृष्णे क्षितं तदुदितं करवेणुगीतम् आरोह्य ये द्रुमभुजानुचिरप्रवालान् शृण्वन्ति मिलितदृशो विगतान्यवाच.
O mother, in this forest, all the birds have risen onto the beautiful branches of the trees to see Krishna. With closed eyes, they are simply listening in silence to the sweet vibrations of his flute, and they are not attracted by any other sound. Surely these birds are on the same level as great sages.
नद्यस्तदा तदुपधार्य मुकुन्दगीतम् आवर्तलक्षितमनोभवभग्नवेगात् आलिङ्गनसहितं मुर्मिमूजे मुरारे गृह्णन्ति पादयुगलं कमलोपहारा.
When the rivers hear the flute song of Krishna, their minds begin to desire him, and thus the flow of their currents is broken and their waters are agitated, moving around the whirlpools. Then, with the arms of their waves, the rivers embrace Murari's lotus feet and, holding onto them, present offerings of lotus flowers.
दृष्ट्वा तपे व्रजपशून् सह रामगोपे सञ्चारयन्तम् अनुवेणुमुदीरयन्तम् प्रेमाप्रवृत्त उदितकुसुमावलीभिः सख्युर्व्यदात् स्ववपुषाम्बुदहातपत्रम्.
In the company of Balaram and cowherd boys, Lord Krishna is continually vibrating his flute as he herds all the animals of Vraja, even under the full heat of the summer sun. Seeing this, the cloud in the sky has expanded himself out of love. He is rising high and constructing out of his own body, with its multitude of flowers, like droplets of water, an umbrella for the sake of his friend.
Purna Pulindya Urgaya Padabjaraga Shri Kumkumena Daitasana Mandikena Tattarshana Smararuja Srinarushitena Limpantya Anana Kucheshu Jahustadadim.
Anybody wants to carry on, please? If anybody else wants chants.
Aruna, would you like to chant? I mean,
Let's
translation. Oh, Sitaram? Anyway, Karuna, you carry on.
The Aborigine women of the Vrindavan area become disturbed by lust when they see the grass marked with reddish kumkuma powder, endowed with the color of Krishna's lotus feet. This powder originally decorated the breast of his beloveds. And when the Aborigine women smear it on their faces and breasts, they feel fully satisfied and give up all their anxiety. Hantaya matrira bala haridasavaryo Yadarama Krishna charana sparasha pramoda Manam tanoti sahago ganayostayorya Pani asuyavasakandara kandamule. Of all the devotees, this Govardhan hill is the best. Oh, my friends, this hill supplies Krishna and Balaram, along with their calves, cows, and cowherd friends, with all kinds of necessities, water for drinking, berries of grass, caves, fruits, flowers, and vegetables. In this way, the hill offers respects to the Lord. Being touched by the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram, Govardhan hill appears very jubilant. Ga gopakairanubhanam nayatorudara Venu swanaikalapadaistanu sakya Aspandanam gatimatam bulukastarunam Niryoga pashakritalakshananauravichitram. My dear friends. Okay, Mataji.
My dear friends, as Krishna and Balaram pass through the forest with their cowherd friends, leading their cows, they carry ropes to bind the cows' rear legs at the time of milking. When Lord Krishna plays on his flute, the sweet music causes the moving, living entities to become stunned and the non-moving trees to tremble with ecstasy. These things are certainly very wonderful.
एवं विधा भगवतो या वृन्दावनचारिणा वर्णयन्त्यो मिथो गोप्या क्रीडास्तन्मयतां ययुः.
Thus narrating to one another the playful pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he wandered about in the Vrindavan forest, the gopis became fully absorbed in thoughts of him.
And that's the end of the chapter. Venu Geet.
Venu Geet ki
Krishna.
jai.
Well
Jai.
done. Well done, Karuna. Thank you.
Prabhupada ki jai, Guru
Jai.
Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.